one's trash is going great. Again, we're starting a new program at the Mosque Foundation Community Center called Ramadaniyat, and it's for, inshallah, we'll be doing every the measure as well. We're going to go over the 10 promised Jannah, and this is a very important hadith. Abdullah ibn Auf is talking about where Abdullah ibn Auf was talking about how there are 10 people whom the Prophet ﷺ promised Jannah, and these 10 people were named by name in their lifetime while they were alive. So this is very interesting. And the first of these 10 people was Abu Bakr al Siddiq. We have Umar ibn al-Khattab as well, Uthman ibn Affan, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Zubair ibn Awwam, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, Talha ibn Ubaidillah, Sa'id ibn Zayd. These were the 10 men who were promised Jannah in one hadith. And I don't know if you guys, if any of us would have heard that today, if we were promised Jannah or anything like that, how we would react. But these men went on living their lives according to what an individual would do to get into Jannah. Like they didn't stop doing the things that they were supposed to do. And inshallah, after this, if we have time, we will also go into Khadija bint Khuwaylid, because I think it's very important to mention her as well. She's another individual who was promised Jannah, not in this particular hadith, but she was indeed promised Jannah, and we'll talk about Khadija inshallah, because that's someone, that's our mother, that we should have respect for, love for, unconditionally. And I hope we can get to that inshallah. But first we're going to start with Abu Bakr al Siddiq, which was, as we know, let's just list some of the things about Abu Bakr that is important. For one, Abu Bakr was known to be the best friend of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Along with Umar ibn al-Khattab, these two were considered to be the best friends of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Abu Bakr al-Siddiq was there for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from day one. When the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to him and told him about his mission, told him about Islam, he did not ask him 50 questions. He didn't say this, he didn't say that. He believed immediately. Followed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Abu Bakr al-Siddiq is known to be the first among freedmen to believe in the Prophet outside of his family. So the Prophet spread the deen to his family first, right? Khadija, Zayd al-Haritha, and Ali ibn Abi Talib, and then Abu Bakr al-Siddiq is the first to accept the deen from the Prophet. And through Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, this is very interesting. I want you guys to think about this. It's amazing. Through him, 7 of the 10 who were promised Jannah became Muslim. And you think about that for a second. 7 individuals out of the 10 who were promised Jannah came to Islam by way of Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. So we know, right, that once you introduce somebody to a good habit, something that's fair to them, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you ajr for everything that He shows you. So, the interesting thing is that, and these I'm going to name the names for you. Uthman is one of them. Zubair ibn Awwam is another one. Abdurrahman ibn Auf is another one. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, Talha ibn Ubaidillah, and Sa'id ibn Zayd. All of these individuals became Muslim under Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. He brought them to the fold of Islam. So every good deed that they do, he gets ajr for it. That's why we're always, if you could teach somebody how to salli, or if you could teach somebody how to make wudu, or if you could teach somebody how to do different things in Islam, inshallah, every time they do it, because you taught them how to do it, you get part of that ajr. So we want to take advantage of that. And Abu Bakr was not asleep. He wasn't playing around. He took every opportunity that he could, and he brought people to the deen. And we know about the famous story about Bilal ibn Rabah, how he brought him to the deen, inshallah, or how he freed him. We'll talk about that, inshallah. Now, Abu Bakr al-Siddiq has other names. And this is a trivia question. We have like giveaways, inshallah. And so this is one of the questions I want you guys to pay attention.
I'm going to talk about it at the end of the Daras, inshallah. What are the questions that you all should remember? First question you should remember is, what is the actual name of Abu Bakr al Siddiq? It's not Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr was a title that was given to him. In Arabic, we call it kunya. This was a title that was given to him, sort of like a nickname. Abu Bakr, which is the father of the young camel. In actuality, his real name is Abdallah. This is the name of Abu Bakr al Siddiq, Abdallah. Okay? So remember that. Abdallah is his real name. So, Abu Bakr al Siddiq, the reason why he was called as-Siddiq, because he was always truthful. Always truthful. He supported the truth. He supported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when others did not support him. He was on the side of the truth. And there's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One day he was standing on the Mount Uhud, and with him was 3 other men, and the mountain began to shake. And he tells the mountain, "Be still, be calm, for upon you is a prophet, 2 martyrs, and 1 Siddiq." Right? The Siddiq is Abu Bakr al-Siddiq. And inshallah, we're going to get to the stories of the 2 martyrs who was Umar ibn Khattab and Uthman ibn Affan. Both of them were on that mountain with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's kind of like a glad tidings to them, letting them know about their character while they were standing on that particular mountain. So anyway, Ali ibn Abi Talib once said something about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and he said, "Huwa awwal," meaning he was the first. What he meant by that was that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was the first to do everything. The first to come to the masjid for Fajr. The first to help out with his wealth. The first to take care of the sick. He was the first to lead the salah when the Prophet ﷺ was unable to lead the salah. He was the first. He was the first Khalifa, which we'll learn about inshallah probably tomorrow. But yeah, he was the first Khalifa of after the Prophet ﷺ. So he was the first to do a lot of things for the ummah. So we want to remember these things, inshallah. As we said, Abu Bakr al-Siddiq also, there's an incident in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when the Prophet went on the night journey, the Isra and Miraj. And this was a very phenomenal thing, right? Because how can one person in those times travel from Mecca all the way to Jerusalem in one night and come back before the morning even came? So the idea is, how is he able to do this journey in one night when at least in those days took 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even a month to get from Mecca to Jerusalem? So when he came back and he told everybody about this story, and the Quraysh thought this was an opportunity for them to ridicule the Prophet ﷺ, make fun of the Prophet ﷺ. So they go and they come to Abu Bakr al-Siddiq and they're laughing and they say, "Did you hear what your friend is saying? He's saying that he made it from Mecca to Jerusalem in one night." Can you believe this? And Abu Bakr al-Siddiq had the greatest response. He said, "If he said it, meaning, I don't trust what you all are saying to me. Maybe you're lying. Maybe you're bringing up stuff that isn't true. So if the Prophet ﷺ said it, and without doubt, without even thinking about it, then it certainly happened. I don't doubt it. I trust it." And this was his way. This is how he carried himself. And so I want to tell you guys a brief story, inshallah, a couple of stories, and then we'll try and wrap this thing up, inshallah. Also, so one time, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you guys have to remember when the deen first came down to Quraysh, there was an aura of their lives were in danger, right? It was an issue of safety for them. Just to say La ilaha illallah, just to say my Lord is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or just to say that there is no God except Allah, your life may have been in danger in those days. Alhamdulillah, look how blessed we are. We can come to the masjid, or we could pray together. Nobody's trying to kill us because we're saying Muslims. And unfortunately, some places it's like that. But this was the reality of the early Muslims. And Abu Bakr al Siddiq, so you have to understand the danger of what he was about to do. He asked the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Ya Rasulullah, we're on the truth, right? We're on the haqq, right? He says, then shouldn't we tell these people about the deen? Shouldn't we tell them about the truth? And so the Prophet ﷺ agreed, and Abu Bakr stood up to give a talk, somewhat like a sermon or something like that. And he begins to talk, and when he starts his sermon, the people get enraged, and they go after him. And they beat him bad. And they beat him so bad that they said that the next day they were unable to recognize his face. You know, they kicking him, punching him, stomping him, whatever the case may be. It got really bad. His clan, his family had to come, break it up. You know, if our man dies, we're going to deal with whoever had something to do with it. His family stuck up for him and looked out for him. And so after a while of being unconscious, he wakes up. And he looks, he's looking around the room. His family is there. His mother is there. And he asks, where is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That's the first thing on his mind, is the safety of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how much he loved his friend. This is how much he loved his companion. And so his family, they said, man, we just rescued you. Your life was in danger. And this is what you're talking about. You're not even worried about yourself. You're not even concerned about yourself. Mind you, it's not, everyone was becoming Muslim. They weren't all Muslim at that time. And so he sends someone to go get a particular woman. I believe her name was Jameel. And he says, bring her, and so she can go find the Prophet for me. And she comes, and he asks her, he says, how is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Where is he? How is he? And she says, your family's here. Like, they don't know that we're Muslims, right? Because they had to be Muslim in secret at that time. And so he says, it's all right. They're not going to hurt you. They're not going to do anything. Where's the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And so she says, the Prophet is fine. He's alive. He's well. He's okay. Nothing's wrong with him. And so the Prophet sallallahu, he gets up. He leaves. Abu Bakr al Siddiq leaves. And he goes to visit the Prophet. Now, mind you, wounds take some time to heal. He's a little banged up. He goes and he sees the Prophet ﷺ. He just had to look at his Rasul, at his Prophet. He had to look at the Prophet ﷺ just to know that he was okay. And this is the type of love Abu Bakr al Siddiq had for the Prophet ﷺ. And this is the type of love that we need to cultivate during this month of Ramadan, that we have, or we need to have for the Prophet ﷺ. Whatever it is that we're going through, young kids, I know you're dealing with your homework. I know your parents are probably making you go crazy, or you want to go outside, you want to do different things. Utilize this time wisely. Read a book, learn something about some of the Sahaba. We're learning about Abu Bakr al Siddiq, why he's so special right now. Help around in the house. The Prophet ﷺ said that next to Salah on time, the most beloved deed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is respect and honor and obedience to our parents. That's the second most beloved thing to do after praying on time. So if we're not doing that, we need to work on that. Whatever sins we might be doing, we need to take this time, walk away from it, walk towards something better. Inshallah, this is the time to do it. None of them, we have to always remember, right, that when Islam first came to the believers, when they first got Islam, you have to understand what type of people these were. These were people who were doing things that we would think were unspeakable. And Islam changed their heart. Islam changed their ways and their behavior. And they became some of the greatest men that we have ever spoken about in history. Take this time, take this religion, and make it yours. Right? Last story. The Prophet ﷺ is living in this hostile environment of Mecca for 13 years. 13 years of dealing with people disrespecting him, saying the worst things to him, putting the entrails of a camel on his back while he was praying. This is one of the stories that happened. Trying to harm him, harming his companions. We know the story of Bilal, right? And we said how Abu Bakr al Siddiq ended up saving the life of Bilal, right? What did he do? He came and he offered a certain amount of money to free Bilal. And the amount of money was so high that the old master of Bilal says, you know what? I would have given him way less. I would have given them to you for way less. And he says, and I would have paid double of what I just paid you. Right? This is how much Abu Bakr was dedicated to the growth of Islam. So this was that environment, right? 13 years of that. Alhamdulillah, we're so blessed. 13 years of that, the Prophet ﷺ said, it's time to go. Allah gave him the opportunity to leave, to make hijrah. And this is the start of our calendar, right? The hijrah is the start of our calendar. And so the Muslims were leaving in small groups, in secrecy. You know, some of them left boldly, like Umar ibn Khattab. He left boldly. He let everyone know that I'm leaving. And we'll talk about this story maybe when we get to Umar ibn Khattab. But the Prophet ﷺ was the last to leave. And he stayed in Mecca the entire time. And who left with him? Who left? Abu Bakr al Siddiq. Right? And Abu Bakr, he left with him. And he even employed his family to help with the escape, right? So, for instance, his son would come and he would let his animals graze wherever their path was, so that it could cover up the tracks that they made when they left. His daughter Asma, she's called I believe the mother of the two belts, because she would tie food and things like that to bring to them in secrecy, so no one would know. She would tie it to her leg, she would cover it up, and she would bring it to him. So his own family was trying to help out while the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr were leaving together. And he came to Abu Bakr and he said, clear out your house. Right? He had something to tell him. And Abu Bakr said, Rasulullah, my family is your family. Right? We're here for you. And so he told him, Allah has given him the permission to leave, and he wanted Abu Bakr al Siddiq to go with him. You know, what an honor that you get to accompany the Prophet ﷺ. You get to be his security. You get to be his safety. You get to have that one-on-one time for however long you're traveling just with him. That's how much he trusted Abu Bakr al Siddiq. So, as they left, like we said, his family's helping out while they're gone, and they had a guide with them. And as they're going, Abu Bakr al Siddiq, it said that you would see him behind the Prophet ﷺ, like anxiously behind him. And then he would run in front of the Prophet ﷺ while they're on their journey, and he would walk in front of him. And then he would walk behind him, and the Prophet ﷺ was like, what are you doing? And we find out that Abu Bakr is thinking, you know what, somebody might try to attack the Prophet ﷺ from the front, so I will walk in front, and so I can deal with anything that might come. And then he thinks, but hold on, somebody might attack him from behind us. So you know what, I will walk from behind us and make sure nobody harms him from behind us. And he's doing this back and forth, trying to protect the Prophet ﷺ. How amazing. And when they were in the cave, and this is when he gets another one of his names, or another one of his statuses, if you will. They were in the cave. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran calls him a sahib, that he is the friend of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of these moments in the cave. And Abu Bakr al-Siddiq, when the Quraysh actually managed to catch up with them while they were on the journey. And Abu Bakr is worried. He's like, they're right on top of us. Like, they're right here. All they have to do is look in or come in and they would find us. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, how do you feel about two? And their third is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said, after hearing this, meaning, how do you feel about me and you being together? We're two, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our third. He is our third who's keeping us safe. And he said, after this, he said he never had fear, ever, ever. Like this, let him know Allah is with us. He is with me. My Creator, my Lord, my Rabbil Alameen is with me. I am not afraid. And so these are just some of the early things about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He was known to always, when he would read Quran, they they tried to. He would read. He would pray his salah in the front of his house outside, and it got so much people would walk by and they would hear his recitation of Quran, and they would see how sincere he was in his salah, and some people would want to know more about Islam and eventually even becoming Muslim based off of just watching him pray, right? So it got to a point they told him, like, look, we don't want you praying in your front area anymore. We don't want people to see you praying, because he was just that influential. You know, he was a man of honor. He never drunk before. He said one time he saw a man who was getting drunk, and the man was getting drunk so bad that he was willing to eat something that was really nasty and really disgusting. And he would put it to his face, and the smell of it was so bad that he couldn't eat it, and he put it back to his face, but he was drunk. And Abu Bakr said when he saw that, he said he could never be like that. He would never want to be out of his mind. So even before Islam, before he became Muslim, he never drunk. You know, that's how serious he was as an individual. You know, and we want to strive to be like him. We have some beautiful stories coming up about his life, about his dedication to Islam, and inshallah, this is the first person that we need to learn about. Inshallah, I hope everyone enjoyed the story time about Abu Bakr al Siddiq. We will go a little more in depth next, which is tomorrow, inshallah, and then after that, we'll probably skip on to Ahmed. Ahmed is incredible as well, and so forth and so on. And we will enjoy this time. We will learn. We will gain. And remember, last thing, and then I'm going to let you go. Last thing. Don't forget, the trivia question is, what is the real name of Abu Bakr al Siddiq? Right? And we said that was Abdallah. So make sure we'll have a way where you can let us know what it is as far as the answer, and we'll have something for you, inshallah. We'll figure it out, but definitely I want to make this enjoyable and fun for everybody, right? So Abdallah, that's his real name, okay? And the other name, the nickname the status that Allah gave him in Quran is Sahib, meaning friend of the Prophet ﷺ, right? And we know that Abu Bakr is also a nickname, and Siddiq is also a nickname, okay? Remember those things. Thank you. See you guys tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.